Hey everyone, for today's episode, we're taking you across to London, or actually, we're meeting someone who's just come back from London. So, meet Akshita Mehra. Hi Akshita, welcome to
Hi.
the show.
Thank you.
Akshita has recently graduated from London School of Economics in International Relations. So, Akshita, tell us about your program. International Relations sounds like a really exciting program.
It's sort of a mix of history and politics and just current affairs and things like that. It's a good blend if you're interested in what's going on in the world and trying to understand it, trying to make sense of it. It's a very reading heavy course.
Okay.
You have to be, it's better if you sort of keep up with what's going on in the world.
Okay. Yeah, so you study a large number of countries and their historic and now relations with each other.
Yeah, so what they prefer to do is sort of give you a general background of like history in first year, they try to do a course because not everyone comes with a history background. And then beyond that, it's really what you select. So if you select modules where you're really focused on one area, you can do that. But what I wanted was to sort of get an experience with a whole bunch of places. So I had courses, I had a course on the Middle East and international relations. Then I had one on China and Southeast Asia. I had one on American grand strategy. I had one on Russian history. So it's like you can just, so I had a good sort of
overall
wholesome experience.
Okay, so from here, if a student is looking at this program, what does he or she look for after the program in terms of career options?
There's a bunch of things you could do. The first one, most obvious one, is join an international organization.
Right.
So you have your UN, you have your World Bank, you have your IMF, things like that.
Okay.
There's also think tanks or like independent research organizations. Then you can work for your government if you'd like. You can join, if for India, you can do IFS, you can sort of become an ambassador, things like that.
Wow.
You could teach if you wanted.
Yeah, of course.
You could get into journalism, some sort of reporting, on the international affairs, on the foreign affairs desk. Like a lot of people tend to do their masters right after their bachelor's degree because the thing with IR is, especially if you want to go into like an international organization or a research organization or something like that, they sort of prefer more qualified people who are more specialized, who have an area of interest and have really done sort of in-depth research. And it just helps, your writing skills are better, things like that. So they look for higher qualified people.
Right.
So a master's at the very least, I think, is a must.
Okay.
For as a next step.
Right. And you've got a 3-year program and a 1-year master's. So it's probably good to do the 4 years this way.
Yeah, definitely. It's an easy sort of thing to finish in one go.
Okay.
But it definitely locks down IR as like what you're doing.
The permanent choice.
For like the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Which is why I was a little hesitant. So even though I had my admission for masters, I was a little hesitant. I thought I'll come back, I'll work in the field for a little while. And I was also thinking about applying to the States then for masters.
Right.
So my dream school requires some work experience as well.
Right. So when you do post-graduation, and so you have options open, you could possibly do business, law, or international relations?
Yeah, so definitely. There are some people who just move away from international relations after doing an undergrad. There are a lot of people who actually go into law. Some people just move entirely. There are people from my course who have gone into business or like finance or something. You can pretty much move away.
Yeah, Akshita, during the program that you did, the 3-year program, take us through some of the internship opportunities or other opportunities that you took advantage of.
So before I even went to college, I worked at an NGO, Nani Kali. That was to sort of see if that was a field I was interested in. So because I went to the UK and I sort of had to decide what I wanted to do right from the outset, I didn't really get a chance to, explore. Exactly. Yeah. So I thought, let me use my internship to sort of see if, there's anything else I'd like to be doing. So I did Deutsche Bank.
Okay. Completely different.
And my biggest takeaway was that investment bank is not for me.
Which is a great takeaway sometimes. You just need to know.
Yeah. And then in second year, I worked at CNBC TV 18. It was just, again, see if the media was someplace that I'd like to be. And I think definitely journalism or reporting of some kind is something I will explore further on somewhere down the line. Definitely writing, even if it's like an opinion piece, writing sort of situation.
Or a blog or
Yeah. And then once I graduated, of course, my ideal situation would have been to work in London itself.
Sure.
But the problem with IR and working in the UK is that, so because these companies are not like major, massive, organizations like a KPMG or a Oliver Wyman or a Goldman Sachs, they can't sponsor you.
Okay.
And even if you're willing to sponsor your own visa, like I said, like they require much more qualified people.
Right.
So, and you can't really stay back to do an unpaid internship, like your visa, like you won't get a visa for doing that.
Okay.
So I came back home. Now I work at a foreign policy think tank. It's called Gateway House in Bombay. I think it's like the only opportunity for like foreign policy oriented students in Bombay.
Okay.
Everything else is based out of Delhi naturally because the government is there.
Yes.
So again, because I don't have a master's degree yet, I'm not on the research team per se. But I work with the outreach team, and it's been extremely interesting. It's like I've gained a lot of exposure to a lot of people in the field, and like very like small things like tips from them and things like that. It's been great to sort of be around them and see what a think tank is, how it works, because otherwise you don't really know. Like,
It sounds like a fantastic thing to go through at this stage of your career,
Yeah.
because you're also deciding what to do and you're
Yeah.
interacting with all these people.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really interesting. We have people at the organization with backgrounds in journalism, backgrounds in security, economics, like public policy, like you name it.
And through your program in international relations and probably at high school, what were some of the other activities that you were engaged in that sort of complemented this side of it?
So I think if I really have to explain like where my sort of interest stems from, it started when in 8th grade I went for this camp. It was called Seeds of Peace International Camp, in the States. And so what it was we a bunch of us were selected to represent India, and it was like a reconciliation camp where you get to live with teenagers from other conflict zones in the world.
Right.
So we got to engage with Pakistanis, Israelis, Egyptians, Jordanians, Americans, obviously. So that was when it first started for me. And then from then on, I think Model UN was like a natural next step for me.
Right.
I was really interested in conflicts around the world, and I wanted to sort of get a chance to learn more. There's nothing like IR in your school curriculum.
Right.
The closest thing is probably history.
Right.
So Model UN is really the only way you can really
talk about world issues
Yeah.
and current
and
challenges.
like, and in depth,
Yeah.
go into it, like why the conflict started, what's going on, what the solutions are, but what the obstacles are to reaching that solution.
Yeah.
And then even when I was at uni, I was part of MUN Club, and I was on the secretariat for a lot of MUNs.
Wow. Yeah, so potentially a job at the UN would be a dream, right?
A job at the UN would be the ultimate dream. And I actually met someone who told me that as a woman from a developing country, I have a decent shot, and it just made my day. I was like, yes.
Okay, so what advice, Akshita, would you like to give an incoming freshman to your program?
Well, definitely to begin with, since you're coming to the UK, you're locking in on your subject, be very sure.
Yeah.
No
coming back.
Yeah, there really isn't. And yeah, I think it's a very intensive program. So that basic thing of being really interested in it is like necessary, because that's what's going to carry you through. That's what's going to motivate you to sit and do 3 essays in 2 days and things like that.
Okay.
The thing about the UK, the programs in the UK is that nothing during the entire year counts towards your final mark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's graded, but it doesn't count towards your final mark.
Right.
So technically, if you wanted to, you could like waste the entire year and then at exam term like slog, and you could still like pass and things.
Okay.
But my advice would be that if you really want to make the most of your experience, you get weekly reading. Like there's like 5 or 6 main and then additional and things like that. So no one expects you to do all of it. But even if you do one for every module every week, like one of the readings, it just helps so much. Like you just understand everything better, you retain more, you can make like linkages between your courses, and it just sets you apart from everyone else. So it's just like that is a must. Like as lazy as you feel, like that is something you should do. Yeah, and I think another thing, especially because it's a course like international relations, like keeping up with what's going on in the world is like it's imperative.
Absolutely.
Like no one will tell you that. No one's going to be like, you know, you should read the paper or things like that. But it's a must. Twitter, and the other thing is this app called Feedly, where you can like pick the newspapers that you want the like major headlines from and things like that, and you can just like scroll through them. Like now that I have more time, I tend to read like opinion pieces and things like that, because that really helps. Like it's not just knowing what's happening, but you need to
having
see
a view on it.
Exactly. And if you see like other people's opinions, it helps you develop your own.
Definitely.
And in IR, like that is having a view, is just the most
So I'm sure
important.
in every interview, and in fact, why stop at interview? Going forward, success at the job
definitely
would depend on your own thoughts.
Yeah, definitely. Like even for my current job, they were like, so what's going on in the news? And I had to like be like, well, I read this and stuff, and that helps.
So if you were to say there was one thing that really stood out for you in the 3 years, what would be that highlight of your experience?
This was both like a draw for me to even come to LSE, and then it became naturally one of the highlights for me. It was interacting with the faculty. The teachers and the lecturers at LSE are amazing. Like they're incredible. They're leaders in the field. There are founders of some of the theories of IR who are there. There were people who had written my history textbooks for the IB. So just getting to really like talk to them one-on-one, you know, get their thoughts on my writing, on my arguments, and just be in the same room as some of them. It was just, it was incredible.
Sure. And if you were to describe your school in one word, what would that be?
I think it would be intense.
But
not in like necessarily in a bad way always. It's a place where everyone tends to have strong opinions. And I think it's important to sort of have a voice at LSE. Like it's like debating and you know, like discussion is sort of all around you. Like you can be in the library.
It's in the genes of.
Exactly.
So
There's like a lot of nerds who like will pick an argument with you in the middle of class, and you need to know what you're talking about. So in that sense, it's a very
intense place. So I believe in London, because it's London, you get 1 year accommodation, and then sort of in all the colleges you tend to move out. So how was that experience for you, staying outside and managing the food, etc.?
Managing the food did not go so well. I lived off Maggie and cereal.
Oh dear.
Like it was important, I think, to live in a campus, like in a uni residence first year. You get to meet a lot of people and things like that. And they gave us dinner, so that was it was fine. But then second year, third year, the accommodations I lived with friends, so all that was fine. But like I said, food was
a challenge.
It was a challenge, to put it mildly. But Marks and Spencer's ready meals saved my life.
Is there any like dabba service Indian food?
There is actually, and we actually did do the dabba service thing. We did. It was called Trisha's Treat, I think. Honestly, it was okay for a few weeks, but then it got a bit repetitive, and it just fizzled out. But you can do that. Those options are there.
So if there was one totally unusual advice you had to give someone, what would that be?
Someone pursuing IR? It would definitely be to embrace the fact that your life is going to be quite uncertain. I thought I was alone in that, like graduating and not knowing where I was going next, but everyone I've spoken to, they've been like, be patient, your path will work itself out.
But we all like a set path to be laid out before we start, but embracing uncertainty sounds fantastic.
Especially because in other courses, it's very straightforward. Like everyone sort of has a similar path. Like you work your way up and then, you're set for life. Here it's a little like, where do you want to go, you have to specialize, you have to like then decide if you want to work in India, you want to work somewhere else. It's very like up in the air.
Uncertain.
Yeah, uncertain. Yeah.
And let's talk about the one fun experience that you had.
I think one of the most fun experiences I had was doing a school production called Timeless. It was in my first year. It's basically like a variety show. There are people who do tap dance, there are people who sing, there are people who, you know, like anything, like hip hop, Bollywood, there's like everything going on. So I was actually acting in that, and I got to play like a really like fresh Indian mom, and I had to like wear a sari on stage, and they had to tie my own sari, and a husband. I had a husband in like a dhoti and stuff. Like, yeah, it was a really fun experience. Like rehearsals were really fun. It was like a comedy, so you know, get like improv, doing the lines, things like that. The people I met. Yeah, it was a really amazing experience.
Wow, sounds like fun, and I think your entire journey of 3 years has probably been very memorable for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. It was a real pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
And wish you all the best. And fingers crossed for that UN job.
Thank you.
Please click the subscribe button below. Like me at facebook.com/chetchat101. Follow my Twitter handle, chetchat101, or at Instagram, chetchat101. Please leave your comments in the sections below. And if you'd like me to feature any particular college, please let me know. Thank you.